work on coloring and mandala using Adobe Photoshop. So the purpose of this project, we're going to start to learn about different color harmonies. We're going to continue getting used to our tools. In this case, we're going to use Photoshop. And we're also going to use a new tool called Adobe Color. And Adobe Color allows you to find and create color palettes really quickly. So to get started, we're going to start in Photoshop and we're just going to create a new file. And our file is going to be 12 inches wide by 6 inches tall, and it's going to be a resolution of 300 pixels per inch. We want to make sure we have a lot of pixels because we are coloring and we're making things look good. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Create. And you'll notice I have a blank canvas. Now it's time to go ahead and get our mandalas. For this project, I've given you a zip file. What you're going to do is you're going to download the zip file and you're going to extract those files. And if you need help extracting, I can help you extract the files. But after you get them extracted, you can use a program, maybe a program like Bridge. And with Bridge, you can go to your folder and you can look just visually at your thumbnails. And if you wanted to, you could drag them over. Or in Photoshop, you could use what's called the place command. You could say place linked, or you can open and copy paste. But I'm going to use Bridge. This is easy, it's visual, and I can just drag them over. So I've already kind of looked at them and I've decided today I'm going to use 5, 7, and I think 11. So these are the 3 that I'm going to use, and what I can do is I can literally just drag them over and drop them into Photoshop. And you'll notice down here we have a little tool. This is our import tool. And I'm just going to click Done, Done, and Done. And you'll notice all 3 of my mandalas are here in Photoshop. Now, I'm going to go ahead and work on laying these out. So I'm going to grab my Move tool. And number 11, I'm going to push number 11 over to the right. And I know he's off my screen, and you'll see there's a reason why. I'm going to grab number 5 and I'm going to push number 5 off to my left. Give a little bit extra space. Yeah, I want about the same amount of space. As you're moving it, if you hold shift, it'll make it so it just slides over. So now that I have all 3 on my screen, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to rescale these images down so that all 3 fit. So what you can do in your layer panel, you can click on your top one, hold shift, and click, so I have all 3 layers selected, and then we're going to transform these layers. So we can either show transform controls, or we can go to Edit, Transform, Scale, and we can scale this down. Now, I want you to notice that these are wider than what I'm actually viewing, so I have to zoom out. To zoom out, I can hit Control minus, and that'll zoom it out a little. And now I need to scale this. So when I scale this, if I just grab a corner and start moving, you'll notice I can scale it down. But if you want to know a trick, if you hold the Alt key, it'll scale from the middle. So I'll grab that, scale it down, because I want all 3 of them to fit inside here. And once all 3 fit, I'm going to go ahead and hit my check mark. And so now we have all 3 mandalas and we're almost ready to get started coloring. So I'm going to do an extra step here, and I'm going to go ahead and I am going to get rid of all the white. So you notice each one of these pictures we have white. We can get rid of all those white pixels, and I'm going to create just a new layer with all of our line work. And I'm doing this because it just makes this project a little bit easier to do. So to get rid of all the white, we're going to say select. We're going to use color range. Oops. Select color range. And we're going to go ahead. I'm going to set the fuzziness to 90. We're going to put it up kind of high. We're going to click right here in our white. And we're going to go ahead and hit OK. So right now we've selected all of our white in the image, And I want to go ahead and inverse my selection because I want to select the exact opposite because I actually want all the black lines. So say select and choose inverse. So now you'll notice I have selected all the black lines. I'm going to go up here. I'm going to make a new layer. I'm going to call it line work. And I'm just going to fill it with black. So I'm going to go edit, fill, and we'll just tell it with black. And now if I deselect, select, deselect, and I can turn off these layers, you'll notice I have beautiful line work and it has no color. And the reason why I do that, it just makes it easier because we're coloring in underneath all of this. So I can even go a step further. I could delete these layers. They're not really necessary anymore. And now my project is ready to start coloring. So for coloring, we're going to choose a base color. So let's introduce our next tool. So our next tool we're going to use is called Adobe Color. And what you're going to do is just go to color.adobe.com, log in, and you should be in your Creative Cloud account. That way you can actually save this and pass it over. And it's a really fun tool. The way it works is you set your base color. So at this point in the project, you need to choose your base color. So I can move this around and I can find a color I want to work with. I think today I want to go more in the blues, something, like a nice baby blue, something like that. So I'm going to decide that this color right here, and this is my hex code, this is the color that I want to work with. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that. I'm going to go to Photoshop. I'm going to make a new layer. I'm going to name it that hex code so I don't forget. Over here, I'm going to click on my color and I'm going to paste that hex code right there. And I'm just going to say edit, fill, and I'm going to tell it to do the foreground color. So we have now set our base color for this project. Now, we're going to use 3 different color harmonies: a monochromatic, a triad, and a complementary based on this color we just chose. So let's go back to Adobe Color, and let's go ahead and let's choose our harmony rules. First we have monochromatic. So you notice with monochromatic, it keeps that base color and it gives me a few other color options. So I can make this very easily. I can use the power of libraries to do this. So I'm going to make a new library. I'm going to call it Color Harmonies. And I'm going to call this my color theme. This one, we're going to call it monochromatic. And I'm going to go ahead and hit save. I'm going to get the triad one set up. You'll notice when I click triad, it's going to go and make basically a triangle shape inside of here using my base color. So again, I'm going to go here. I'm going to make a new one. I'm going to call it triad. And I'm going to go and I'm going to do one more. We're going to do the complementary. And complementary, you notice it goes across the color wheel to its complement. So again, last one, we're going to put in complementary. Complementary, and I'm going to go ahead and hit save. So we've created a new library. We saved our 3 different color palettes. Now we're going to jump back to Photoshop and we're going to use our libraries here. You'll notice Color Harmonies is at the top and you'll see my 3 different color harmonies are all set. Now we're going to choose which ones we want to do. So if I want the middle to be monochromatic, then I can start coloring my monochromatic item. So I'm going to make a new layer. I can go ahead and zoom in. And if we're going to make this monochromatic, I can start picking colors. So notice when I click on them, my fill over here changes. So this could be my dark color. And maybe I want to save all these in a folder. So maybe I create a folder and we can call it monochromatic. Let's put my layer inside of there. So for this one, we have our darker color, and I can go ahead and I can start using what is called my fill tool, which is underneath the gradient here, my fill tool right here, paint bucket tool. We're going to set this to use all layers. We're going to tell it to use a foreground color, and then you can start coloring. And now it's really up to you to be creative in how you want to fill in these items to make them look nice. So maybe I want to do those. Maybe I want to do these. So there I have my darker color. I can even save that color number there, maybe use that as my layer name. So that way I know. I can make a new layer. I can grab one of my lighter colors here. And I'm just going to slowly work through creating my mandala. So as you can see, this project would definitely take a while to get done, because you're going to go through and you're going to keep creating this. So this one right here would be my monochromatic one. At the end, I might want to even put in a title at the bottom because I think it would look nice. So let's go ahead, let's create a title for this one. So I'm going to use text. You can choose what font you want. You'll notice I have tons of different fonts depending on what I'm doing at the time. Let's try this one here. And we'll name it, and we'll go monochromatic. And you can go ahead and you can change your size. And I trust most of you guys already know how to do this. Maybe I want to make it nice and big. Maybe I want to move it. So go ahead and hit the accept. Grab your move tool. Move it to the middle. And I think I probably want this one to be dark. So I might choose a darker color over here. And there's my monochromatic. Now, your job would be to keep working on these. And then after you do your monochromatic one, you're going to start your, let's just say your triad. And for my triad, that's this one. I'm going to choose maybe my green here. Again, grab the layer color. Just makes your life a little bit easier. And there we go. And maybe this one is going to be my triad. I'm going to use my fill tool, my paint bucket tool. And I'm going to start going through and deciding which one of these, you can kind of do the four corners again, which one of these I'm going to color. And you can work around. So it definitely takes a while to color all these up. And that's part of the fun, is deciding what do I want to do, what don't I want to do. If you mess up, the reason why we keep them on their individual layers, you can come back and you can delete items. So if I decide I want this a different color, I can come in here. I can use what's called my eraser tool. And I can make my brush a little bit bigger. So you can go into size, make it a bigger brush. And notice I can erase it. So that's a quick, easy tool to fix items. You could also, if you wanted to just start over on the layer, you could delete your whole layer. So the beauty of using the layers is you can quickly, easily make changes, go back, make fixes, and do things. Now, we've discussed how to do everything. Oops, didn't mean to do that. My spacebar doesn't want to work today, so we can use my hand tool here. There we go. So we've discussed how to get it all set up. Let's just pretend that I've gone through and I finished this entire project. Obviously, that would take me a while. I'm not going to do that on this video. You don't need to watch me do it all. You could figure it out from here. But there's two things I need you to know. First, you need to make sure you save your Photoshop file. So go File, Save As. And you're going to choose where you're going to put this one. I'm going to put it on my computer, and for here, I will put it in my downloads, and I'm just going to call it my color harmonies or my color mandalas. You need to use the file names I tell you for the project, but I'm going to go ahead and hit save. Now that I've saved the Photoshop file, we're going to create that final JPEG file for submission. So there's two different ways to get JPEGs, two easy ways to get JPEGs out of Photoshop. One of the ways is to save a copy, and you can tell the format to be JPEG, and then you just fix your file name. That's one easy way. The other tool that I haven't shown you yet is we can also use export. So we can go File, Export, and we can say Export As. And in the export one, we can choose our format, in this case JPEG. It'll give us our size, our width, everything ready. And we can choose export, and then we can put this wherever we want. Again, maybe just in downloads, give it its name and hit save. So once you get the JPEG, that's what I want you to submit for me, and you've created a color mandala. So I hope this helps. If you get stuck, you don't understand, or something isn't working, please just let me know.